Hello, I'm Isidoros Parlamas. Well, in this video, I want to show you for a few minutes why it is important to be able to define. It's not enough to know the word and utter the word. We need to know the meaning of the word. That's very important, because then we can produce definition-aware discourse, okay? We can talk and know what we're saying, really. So that's what I want to demonstrate here. I have in front of me an open window of ChatGPT, okay? And I type a prompt. I say, for example, define car. So let's say what it's giving us here. It says a car is a self-propelled road vehicle, okay? Now this is not a definition because it violates one of the most basic requirements that needs to be satisfied for a statement to qualify as a definition. It says vehicle. Road vehicle is synonym for a car. It's a synonym for a car. So this is called a circular definition. You cannot use a synonym or a near synonym term in the definition, okay? Because the defined concept here, the concept we want to define here is the car, okay? Now, car and road vehicle are too close. They are already synonyms. So this statement does not qualify for a definition, as a definition, okay? Okay. And then there's a list of characteristics of the car. Definitions cannot contain examples, okay? They must be short, laconic. Laconic means as short as possible. And we have to identify really the differentia. The differentia is what makes it different than everything else, okay? So that's not a good definition. Now let's try another one. It's not only a bad definition, it's a joke, okay? That means that artificial intelligence cannot define. Let's try another one. Let's see, for example, define, okay, respect as a noun, okay. Respect noun is the recognition and valuing of someone or something or something's worth, rights or qualities expressed through consideration, admiration, or proper behavior. Now, what it is defining here is not respect, but admiration, because many times we use the word respect for admiration, okay? So that's what it's doing. Okay, but respect and admiration are different concepts. However, sometimes they overlap in colloquial terms, in everyday language. We can use respect for admiration, okay? It happens. So let's formulate it more clearly, okay? Define respect, and in parentheses, not admiration. Okay, let's see now. Respect without implying admiration is the recognition of another person's inherent worth, rights, boundaries, or position shown through consideration, restraint, or appropriate behavior. So we have a series of traits, of characteristics, okay? Inherent worth, rights, boundaries, position, and then shown through restraint or appropriate behavior. That's not allowed in definitions, okay? You cannot have a list of characteristics or expectations or anything like that, okay? And of course, it's also cyclical, because recognition of another person's inherent worth, well, that's close enough to respect, to consider it a close synonym or a near synonym, and this is also circular. So what is respect? I'm not going to reveal all the secrets of the methodology of heuristics, because heuristics is a methodology which we use to arrive at airtight definitions, okay? And there is a way to do it. There's several steps involved, and there's logical trees and stuff like that, okay? So, but what is the core idea of respect? What is it's differentia, okay? That's what it's called in English, differentia, okay? In Greek, it's called idopios diaphora. Now, Greek is important because without Greek, you cannot put together the methodology of heuristics. Why? Because in the Greek language, you have all the very basic concepts and in words that most of the time match their etymology too. It's quite complicated, but without Greek, especially classical Greek, you cannot have a wholesome methodology of heuristics, okay? Of course, knowing Greek is not enough. No way, okay? Under no circumstances. I've been studying Socrates' thought for over 40 years. And I've taught myself, I dare call myself as a Socratic scholar. And after analyzing his thinking, I gradually understood the principles he followed behind the facade, okay, and that led me slowly to a position where I was able to formulate, to set up and organize this methodology, which needs to be turned into code by programmers and integrated into the AI platform. So AI can define. Because if AI cannot define, then what follows is not going to be rooted in logic, okay? It's very important. For example, if you ask AI, if you ask ChatGPT, and not only ChatGPT, okay, the other AI companies like DeepSeek or Anthropic, they all churn out the same type of supposed definitions, which are not definitions at all, okay? So if you ask them something, for example, I have a problem with my car, they don't know what a car is because they give you another name for a car. They tell you a car is a road vehicle. It's like saying John is Johnny, okay? This doesn't work, which means that they limit, AI platforms limit themselves to description, not analysis or synthesis, okay? Or definition, okay? Because it's not only terms that can be defined, problems can be defined too. That's in the domain of dialectics, not heuristics. Heuristics deal with defining words, terms. But dialectics, the Socratic dialectics, deals with defining problems. Okay, you are given a problem in a couple of, in a paragraph or two paragraphs or 3 lines, whatever. You analyze it and then you define it. And the definition of the problem usually looks very different than the problem you were given. If you put them next to each other, if you put on the left the problem you were given originally, and then on the right the problem that which emerged after you analyzed it and redefined it, they're very different, you know. If you are not into these things, you're going to think that these are 2 different problems, but no, they are the same problem. But you eliminated all the redundancies and all the wording that had really nothing to do with the problem at its core. That's why it looks so different. Anyway, so what is respect? Well, if you follow the steps, the methodology of heuristics, that's what you get. Okay. Respect is refusing to violate. Okay? This is respect. Respect is refusing to violate. It's about not violating. Respect is about not violating. That's what sets it apart. Okay? If you are in a position to violate, you refuse. You do not violate. Even if you are not in a position to violate, you do not attempt it. You want to be respectful, you want to exercise respect, you want to continue to have, to feel self-worth, you want to maintain your self-respect, you must abstain from violating, okay? You must refuse to violate, whatever, okay? You must respect. And that means you must refuse to violate. And that's the definition. You see, it's very short. It's not circular because refuse is not a synonym or a near synonym to respect, and violate is not a synonym or a near synonym to respect either. So respect is refusing to violate, or respect is the refusal to violate, okay? This is it. As long as you refuse to violate, you are a respectful person, okay? On whatever level, because there is ways to violate which is pretty painless, and there are ways to violate which are horrific. And if you want to be respectful, you just refuse to violate, okay? You do not allow yourself to violate. Okay? And this is the definition. Now, if you ask, if you tell now, let's see now, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to test this definition because it is very good at testing. And I'm going to say, your definition is problematic, okay? Problematic. What about this definition? Respect is refusing to violate. Okay? Is this a valid definition? Can you test it? Let's see. And it says here, and I'm telling you, ChatGPT cannot define, but it can test if a definition is good after you give it to it, okay? So it says the definition respect is refusing to violate is very powerful, and surprisingly, it holds up well under logical testing. Let's examine it carefully, okay? What it captures. At its core, respect here means to respect someone or something is to deliberately avoid crossing their boundaries, rights, or integrity. This strips away admiration, fear, or liking and focuses purely on action or restraint. If I respect your privacy, I refuse to violate it by reading your messages without permission. If I respect a law, I refuse to break it. If I respect my body, I refuse to harm it. This matches very well with everyday usage where respect is about non-violation, not necessarily warm feelings. Testing the definition. Let's test it against several common phrases and scenarios. Respect someone's privacy. Yes, it's a fit. Not reading their messages means refusing to violate their privacy. The second one, respect the rules. Yes, it's a fit. Following the rules means refusing to violate them. The third one, self-respect. Yes, you avoid actions that violate your own dignity or well-being. Show respect for elders. Yes, not insulting, dismissing, or harming them means refusing to violate their dignity or role. Respect for property. It's a fit. Not stealing or damaging means refusing to violate ownership. I don't like him, but I respect him. Yes, you don't admire him, but you still refuse to violate his rights or boundaries. So far, it passes every test. It's minimal and universal. Potential weaknesses. The only potential challenge is that respect sometimes involves active acknowledgement, not just avoidance. For example, standing up when a judge enters a courtroom. Okay, bowing in some cultures as a sign of respect. But even here, those acts are symbolic refusals to violate. You are recognizing someone's status to avoid violating the social order. So the definition still works if we see these actions as preventing a violation violation through acknowledgements. Why it works well? Universal, works for people, rules, objects, even abstract concepts like freedom. Neutral, no need for admiration or emotional attachment. Practical, turn respect into a clear, observable behavior. Either you violate or you don't. Conclusion, yes, respect is refusing to violate is a valid and elegant definition. It's concise and precise, and it withstands logical testing across nearly all everyday contexts. It shifts respect from being a feeling to being a behavioral boundary, which aligns with how respect functions in ethics, law, and interpersonal relationships. You see, it's a very short definition, which is very good, and it's full of substance, okay? It's loaded with substance in so few words. That's a success, okay? That's a very good definition, okay? And after 5 minutes, ChatGPT will have forgotten this definition, okay? Now you can go on to there's about 35 AI platforms. You can try any of them. They will give you, say, define respect. They will give you 2 or 3 lines or 5 lines of gibberish, okay? And then no AI, in no book, nowhere. You will find nowhere this definition. Nowhere. If this definition existed in somewhere, AI machines would have found it, okay? Because they scan the whole web. You will never find definitions, heuristical definitions. Only I do this, and to be precise, only Socrates did that. And I was able to decode his thinking and put down the methodology, okay? You can try it as much as you want. You will never find this definition. You will find it only on my site, my websites. That's it, okay? So I have done this countless times, many hundreds of times, with many hundreds of very difficult terms to define. And I hope you understand that if it's clear what respect is, and if it's clear in your mind what many other important terms are, then you are a citizen, a professional, a parent who produce definition-aware discourse, okay? You know what you're saying and you know what you're hearing. Because the education of heuristics creates logical filters in your mind. And then when you hear things, you know what they really are, okay? You don't take the words for granted. You hear the words, but you can see through them and behind them. And it's very difficult to be manipulated or taken for a ride or anything like that. So I hope this gave you an insight on how we can tell if a definition is valid or not, how these things work. And I hope one of the AI companies will contact me and let me guide their programmers to code my methodology into algorithms and then integrate them into AI. So AI can give you this definition when you ask them, define respect. Okay? Thank you.